So what was your first reaction when you heard that Donald Trump is our new president?
I mean, that's who I wanted to win, so I was excited, I guess.
Truth be told, I think he's a hater. Makes me a little nervous, but our country is strong, and I agree with the sentiments that we have to pray for our country and wish him the best and allow him a chance to lead and govern our country. And our country has to just choose the higher ground and do the best we can. Right.
My initial reaction was surprise. It wasn't necessarily anything but surprise. I think most of the polling showed that it was going to be Hillary, and it didn't turn out that way.
Although he was definitely not my first pick out of the potential GOP candidates, I was elated. I was very excited. I was exhausted from staying up so late, watching the Electoral College votes come in. But I was happy to hear it.
I had gone to sleep not knowing the results, and I woke up and I was very, very distraught because I was not happy about that whatsoever.
My first reaction was awe, shock. I was in absolute utter disbelief. And then it morphed into sadness.
It was a very tough election. It was very mean and it was rude, but I think Trump was the better candidate, and I think he will be good for the country.
See any positive changes that could come through the next 4 years?
You know, we'll have to wait and see. We have to deal with Congress also. And Mr. Trump will not be making decisions by himself. You know, the laws have to go through that process, and we'll see what happens.
Definitely. You know, and I believe both candidates said it, President Obama has said it, you know, there has to be a smooth transition from, of leadership. It's one of our founding principles. I can't do anything but be, positive about it. I mean, we all have to kind of rally behind who America chose, and America chose, President Trump, as odd as that sounds.
Yeah.
As of right now, no, there is a possibility, but knowing him as a person, I just don't think so.
I see a lot of deregulation. I see a lot of immigration reform and trade reform, and I think that is pretty critical to the future of our nation and our generation. This affects us. We're the future, so it's important.
No, I don't, except I believe that both political parties will feel the need to regroup, and I think the positive change will be that both parties will have to identify who they really are and perhaps acknowledge that there's a segment of the American population that needs to be addressed.
Yes. Well, not right at the moment, but I think that his policies could promote positive change. Right now we have to come together as a nation because it's all divided right now.
Do you think all the protests and rallies and the emotional responses are uncalled for, or what do you feel about them?
Very uncalled for. They're useless. What's going to happen? Trump's not going to leave the office. Nothing's going to happen from him. It's just a waste of time.
I don't know if it's uncalled for. I think the vandalism is uncalled for. I have a problem with the way they're protesting, but we're allowed to protest. That's one of our founding principles. So I can agree with it or disagree with it. That's my right as well. But I hate to tell people, anybody, that they have no right to protest because I don't know what their lives are like.
It's to be expected because this was an extremely hostile election. But the whole thing about people going out and chanting "not my president," this is the democratic process, right? So I'd have been extremely upset if Hillary was the president, but I don't understand how those protests can unify or better the nation or any of the people within it. I think they're just a centrifugal force.
No, absolutely not. I think that we live in America and we have the freedom to assemble and the freedom of speech. And I think that the young people in America feel that they need to be heard and they want to be heard. It would have been better if they had gotten out and voted, because had all of those people that were roaming the streets of Philadelphia, Chicago, and New York actually voted, perhaps the outcome might have been somewhat different. Although their candidate did carry the major cities. But no, I think it's good that people are involved in the process. I do think that it's time for America to heal now. And I think that now that everybody's gotten it out of their system, it's time to move forward. I believe that Barack Obama will be gracious and he will make for an easy transition.
How do you think countries are looking at us right now?
I think in a Trump presidency, that's my biggest fear is the way we're regarded around the rest of the world. I don't know if he grasps the importance of our standing in terms of our foreign policy with the rest of the world. Whatever his relationship or our relationship now is going to be with Russia, how it affects our relationship with Turkey, how it affects our relationship with Western Europe. There are a lot of uncertainties in that regard. That's my biggest fear. I think we've made too many social advances over the last 20 years, the last 50 years, to be supremely concerned about taking too many steps backwards. I think we've gotten to a point in this country where I don't know how much damage he can do in that regard, which is a lot of what the protesting is about now. I'm more fearful personally of what our standing is going to be around the rest of the world, more so than here.
So there's a lot of mixed reactions because most of the other countries are all for establishment. So a lot of these leaders they feel like a little insecure now because they see a country as big as the United States now elect a radical.
Well, the UKIP Independence Party for Great Britain, they seem to like Donald Trump. Vladimir Putin, though he is a man with underhanded policies and intentions, he seems to be happy that Donald Trump won. France is very upset. Mexico is extremely upset, but it's still up in the air. Time will tell exactly. I think time will tell how it'll come out, but I'm optimistic.
I think they're in shock, and I think perhaps that's going to be the worst effect of this. I think that a lot of the countries right now feel that America is no longer the superpower and that their leader isn't knowledgeable enough or strong enough. So I don't think many of the European countries will be taking him seriously as a foreign diplomat.
With interest. I think everybody is watching and waiting, and we'll see what happens.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.